It's 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it's time for BCTV's weekly Media Roundup 545 Live. I'm tonight's host, Roland Boyd, and I'll be taking you through the next 15 minutes into the regularly scheduled 6 o'clock news with a special episode here on Friday night that includes a look at the tractor-trailer accident that shut down Interstate 91 north of Putney this week. All the budget brouhahas from around town, not just here in Brattleboro, but also in Putney, where they had another round of town meetings to talk rescue Golden Cross and the town's emergency services. And we've got legislators, including Windham County Senator Jeanette White and Windham 4 Reps Mike Merwicki and David Dean, standing by live in our downtown studios to break down this legislative session. Then we'll be doing a special extended interview with them. That's all on the way. We're going to do it in the next 15 minutes, so stick with us right here on 545 Live.
These graves represent the resting places of many departed comrades who served in all wars. Where the body of a comrade lies, there the ground is hallowed. Our presence here is in solemn commemoration of all these men.
Welcome back to this May 23rd, 2014 edition of 545 Live. I'm tonight's host, Roland Boyden. That's footage from last year's Memorial Day proceedings in Dummerston from hardworking producer Russ Grabiak, who submitted a series of Memorial Day programs for showing this coming Monday. That is, of course, 2014 Memorial Day. It's all going to be right here on BCTV Channel 8, and you can find all these programs to stream at your leisure at BrattleboroTV.org. All right, time to launch into the area headlines here. Now, there's plenty of budget talks to be had, but first we'll talk Vermont Yankee. That's right. This week, news that Vermont Yankee owners Entergy Nuclear had filed for permission to expand the Vernon-based nuclear plant's dry cask storage capacity, storage that could see up to 25 tons of nuclear waste lying dormant one town down from Brattleboro may not have had the positive spin for local residents that last week's news that Entergy had delivered to the state $5.3 million in clean energy development funds had, but plant management remains optimistic when it comes to the company's continuing presence in Vermont. All right, from there, time to talk Select Board. That's right, it was a regularly scheduled Select Board meeting this week. The budget drama continued, but some big headlines to come out of that meeting, and perhaps a little closure, at least for the time being. This week, the board closed out a month-long stretch of weekly special budget meetings by approving a new FY15 budget with a 4-0 vote, a budget that will return to town meeting reps this June almost $500,000 lighter than once proposed after the original budget was rejected by a townwide vote this April.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the budget as presented, as amended, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? That carries 5-0. We'll look forward to presenting this budget at the informational meeting on Tuesday, May 27th, and then to having it voted on June 2nd.
Now, among the most notable cuts is the absence of $270,000 in year-one payments on the town's $9 million police fire upgrade bond, without which the project has found itself on an altogether different burner. Although, as David Gardenstein, Select Board Chair, explained at a special budget meeting last week, the vote is by no means an indicator that the project is being permanently tabled. Potential budget reductions not included in this version of the FY15 budget are cuts to services at Brooks Memorial Library and the town's Park and Recreation Department. All right, now with all this controversy swirling, it may not make the position of Brattleboro Town Manager seem all that appealing, but the board did announce at this week's meeting that progress was being made with a new set of candidates for the position after a second round of interviews produced 6 viable candidates, any of whom, stated Gardenstein during Chair's remarks on Tuesday, could prove a great option for the town's next top seat.
The board met with and interviewed 6 town manager candidates. 3 candidates were interviewed on Thursday. 3 were interviewed on Friday. I think last time that I spoke to the topic, I noted that we had a wide range of applications with people with a wide range of experience.
Not only can you see this week's regularly scheduled Brattleboro Select Board meeting, but also all the special budget meetings that were broadcast throughout this past month. They're all available to stream at BrattleboroTV.org, where when you hit the landing page, the home page, you can click on Watch, and there's a big Meetings tab that'll show you all the different meetings that we covered. The Brattleboro Select Board is there. That brings you to a page that has every episode of the Brattleboro Select Board that we've covered since we started putting these shows up online. All right, time to move on. We'll stick with budget themes for a moment and continue over to Putney, where hardworking intern Adam Hinckley is standing by to report on last night's special town meeting. Adam, as always, the field reporting gets better and better each week. Thanks for making the trek out there. Tell us a little bit about what happened last night.
Thanks, Roland. This is a story that's been developing in Putney for some time now, especially at the first round of town meeting deliberations back at the beginning of March, when the Select Board's original decision to accept a lower bid for ambulance services from the company Golden Cross over longtime town emergency response provider Rescue Inc. was overturned by the town meeting body, forcing the board to take another crack at the budget before returning for another special town meeting last night to decide once and for all just how valuable Rescue Inc. services are to the town's residents.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting this budget, please raise your hands. Woo. Okay, all those opposed? The ayes have it. The article is passed as amended. Congratulations.
Catch last night's special Putney Town Meeting and the original Putney Town Meeting from this past March, all at BrattleboroTV.org to stream at your leisure. You can also see this latest town meeting. It'll show all this coming week. 2 clicks up the dial on our government and education sister channel, Channel 10. Now, speaking of Putney, Rescue this week is EMS Week. And all across the nation, communities are honoring emergency medical service workers and the life-saving work they do as part of their daily routine, with Rescue Inc. sending out the message to honor the hard work of its skilled employees, with Rescue's newest member of the paramedic team, Assistant Chief Mike Hudson, taking to the airwaves in WTSA's Putney Road studios with News Director Tim Johnson this week to discuss a remarkable EMS career that at one point had him riding sharks as a lifeguard in Southern California, working as a Navy SEAL combat medic, and working as a remote med-evac specialist for networks like the Discovery Channel, BBC, MTV, VH1, and National Geographic, before bringing his talents to the Brattleboro area and to Rescue. Putney found its way into the statewide headlines this week after a tractor-trailer truck crashed just north of Exit 4, resulting in the closure of both north and southbound lanes on Interstate 91, sending up plumes of smoke that Putney residents reported seeing from miles around. Now, according to the preliminary Vermont State Police investigation findings, Connecticut-based driver Michael Frazier lost control of his truck, a full-size car carrier no less, after a blown tire toppled his rig, igniting fuel from a ruptured gas tank, drawing 40 firefighters from 10 different towns to the scene, forcing a full shutdown of highway traffic for nearly 4 hours. With Putney Fire Chief Tom Goddard telling the Reformer this week, quote, "Along with the vehicle fire, we also had substantial diesel fuel spill and a brush fire that resulted from the collision that consumed about an acre of land. We had our hands full for a while." Now, in spite of the crash's severity, no one, including Frazier, was injured, but the semi and 7 of the cars in transit were destroyed during the resulting fire. You can follow up on that story, including seeing full resolution shots of those images that we had up on the screen, all at reformer.com. All right, into the statewide news now, and for that we'll go back into the newsroom. As this Monday, Vermont became the first state in the nation to implement a statewide texting-based 911 emergency alert service. Now, this is a long-awaited alternative to the current voice-only 911 dispatch call system, and won subscribers of any of the country's 4 major cell service providers, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T, can now put to use. Though state emergency response officials this week urged residents to consider texting 911 in an emergency only when voice-based phone calls were out of the question. Now, they did cite domestic violence cases where speaking could put victims in greater danger as one instance where texting 911 will come in handy, and also emergency situations involving the deaf and hard of hearing. That's just some of the statewide news going on here, but speaking of statewide, we often get updates from Montpelier, checking in with the legislative session. Now that the 2014 legislative session has come to a close, Windham County's hardworking representatives, including District 4 reps Mike Merwicki and David Dean, along with Windham County Senator Jeanette White, are joining us now to talk a little bit about this latest legislative session, which is why we've got the split screen here. Thanks for waiting while we do all the chatting about the news here. I guess I do all the chatting here. Let's start with just some of the main topics from this legislative session that, of course, we saw in the headlines and where that went.
Okay, all right. One of the things that we did this year that took a lot of time and effort was what's called the taser bill. We set guidelines for the use of tasers by police forces, and that was a very emotional issue, but I think we have a really good bill, and in the end, everybody agreed with it, and so the standard now is, I can't remember the exact wording, but it's aggressively resisting or threatening the life of someone else.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. Windham 4 reps Mike Merwicki and David Dean. That's the Putney, Dummerston, Westminster District, and all of Windham County served by Senator Jeanette White. Now, they're going to stick around and do a full interview, part of Montpelier Connection. This is a broadcast produced by Mike Merwicki, and it includes webcasts all session long from the State House, and then in the off-season, Mike, you get to join us here in BCTV studios to continue the Montpelier Connection episodes. You can find those to stream at BrattleboroTV.org as well. All right, we're going to do weather in a moment, courtesy of BUHS TV, the high school's morning news advisory broadcast crew, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on that Channel 10 stop on the cable dial. That's 10:15 a.m. is when they go live, and they do all the morning news advisory content from the school, get you caught up if you're a parent or a student, but they also do area headlines from around town. There's sports coverage. They have great features like one of my favorites, This Day in History. They'll sometimes do a call-in, and they do a weather report in front of the full green screen with the radar and everything, and that's how we get our weather report for the weekend as well. Take it away, guys. What's Saturday and Sunday look like this time around?
On Saturday, it's going to be raining quite a bit more. It's going to be a high of 68 and a low of 46. And on Sunday, it's going to be a lot of thunderstorms with a high of 71, a low of 49. So stay inside and stay warm.
Well, as always, there's a bevy of area events going on this weekend around Brattleboro, and we sum it all up in a new webisode feature, all sponsored by the Brattleboro Savings and Loan and hosted by yours truly. It's BCTV's interactive video calendar. This week, it focuses on the officials this
Roland,
week.
are you doing the calendar intro all by yourself?
Whoops.
That's dumb. Well, anyway, it's time to go over to calendar with Roland that we do every week, so head over to that.
All right, and with all that said, we'll launch into this Thursday, May 22nd through Monday, May 26th edition of the calendar. It's a Memorial Day edition. We'll talk a little bit more about some Memorial Day happenings and closings and where to find out more in a moment. But we'll start right here on Thursday as you're catching the tail end of National Prevention Week, all sponsored by the Brattleboro Area Prevention Coalition, going on at the River Garden. More info by clicking either one of the buttons for either one of the days. All right, we're going to move on and talk Saturday the 24th here first as the Green Street School gets ready for their annual Tulip Trot 5K run walk and 0.5-mile Sprout Run set to kick off at 8:30 a.m. at the Green Street School, where the gathering starts this coming Saturday morning. And before we leave Saturday, mention that the Summer Farmers Market is in full swing, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. just past Exit 2 in downtown Brattleboro. That does it for a Memorial Day edition of BCTV's interactive video calendar. We'll see you next time. That does it for another edition of 545 Live. Thanks to our hardworking intern Adam Hinckley for putting together the clips from the Putney Special Select Board meeting, to our BCTV volunteer Deborah Lazar who shot that meeting, everybody else that helped submit content and put this show together, and all of you for watching it, making it worthwhile to produce. We'll be back next week right here in BCTV Channel 8 next Friday at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time for another broadcast. But until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.